Good morning, good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. Thursday night for most of you in the US, and it's Friday morning for me here in Melbourne. Can you guys hear the alarm? Alarm just went off outside. Okay, it's gone off. All right, let me pop out the chat. Welcome to everyone who's joined this live stream. Let me know if the audio and video is coming through loud and clear. Hey, Rocket, Peg, David, August Lion, how are you? All the regulars? Okay. As always, discussing recent videos. This latest one had a lot of fun doing it. Got a lot of lively comments on it. And it's just... I know it's both entertaining, like these things are fun to look at, like a car wreck, but there was a lot of truth in a lot of the comments coming from the women. And it just made me think and sympathize if I was a guy dating and if I was in my early 20s, late teens, trying to date these college girls. Anyway, and it kind of made me pose the question, like, why do women ask for so much today? Why do they cost so much? Why are they so expensive? You know, if you look at life as, you know, what's fair, like there's give and take. Some things you personally want more, and so you're prepared to pay more, whether it's time, effort. I mean, time is money for a guy. That's how it's like directly related. But how much a thing costs of your time, effort, money, attention, and time is something you can't get back. But why do women ask for so much as like a blasé? I know it's romantic. Yeah, we all kind of know the answers. But when you see them exaggerate so much, they may as well say a bazillion dollars. You know, is that a number? Aren't I being fair? You know, it's... And what it made me think about was the cost of a relationship according to a woman. What is actually the cost of a relationship? What's she asking for? What cost does she insist that you pay to be with her? And this is a lot of the discussion that goes on online in regards to, oh, they ask for this, they want that, and they quite plainly demand it, and they look at you weird like, oh, well, you're not getting a relationship then. So they own the relationship, and if you don't pay what they're asking, it's kind of like someone in a really expensive department store with some overpriced dress, and every girl is selling her dress for the same price. It's ridiculous. And it made me think about, you know, there's a cost of a relationship according to her, but then there's the value of a relationship according to you. And this is why I talk about value a lot, guys. What do you value? What are your standards? And then you'll be able to better gauge how much you want to pay for something. And it's not just money. These women directly tell you it's money. But with a guy, money translates to time. How much of my time that I've spent earning my money over the years am I willing to give to you? And because women don't really care about earning, women don't care about their time, they care about their bodies. Men really care about their time and how it's directly translated to their money because it took them time to earn the money. So with women, it's kind of blasé. Why don't you just hand over the money? And you often hear women calling guys tight asses, like we've got some problem with spending money, but they demand that we value what they value, namely them. You know, why don't you want to go on a holiday with me 3 times a year? Why don't you want to go to expensive dinners? Why don't you want to buy me a $50,000 useless polished rock? It's because they do not care what a guy wants. They don't care what we value. And why I keep saying that we should really care about the value of a relationship according to us is that I don't really think most guys today that are frustrated with women because they just want the product. They want the girl. They know it's expensive because she holds the price, and they're just struggling to be able to pay for it. It's kind of like the government giving you a bill for something and everyone's getting the same exorbitant bill and there's nothing you can do about it because everyone's getting shafted for the same bill. And I came up with a value proposition in terms of being able to kind of really see why you should know what you value in a woman before you even pay a cent. Now, let's consider this as an example, right? A condom. How much do you think a condom costs on average, right? Costs about $1. What's your value of a condom? Ask any guy who's had kids. It's about $500,000, or $1 million if you factor in stress with, a woman that's a piece of trash and stresses your life out and you've just thrown away time in your life that you can't get back. So really think about that. The cost of something that something's demanding of you compared to the actual value of that thing and how overpriced it is. A condom's actually an example of like one of the best value propositions given how much you're going to pay for the cost. Condom costs $1. Its value can be in the millions, right? And 500,000 is just for kids. But imagine everything else that comes with it, the stress and all that kind of stuff. So I'm always talking about on this channel about really, this person's alarm outside is going off nonstop. I hope you guys can't see it. Maybe this person's installing an alarm system. I don't know. Anyway, why, sorry, the alarm outside is distracting me. Why it's important to know what you value is because then you will know how much you'll pay for it. You will know, rather than being put on the spot and just going, yes, sure. Because what a woman has over a guy is our biology wants to pay for her, wants to say yes every time. And we have to fight the impulse when our brain is trying to intrude, usually from the back, saying, whoa, wait a minute. Like we're going full steam ahead, wanting to pay for that overpriced woman, where she just says, this is what I need for you to have me. And a guy's impulse is to just say yes to everything and figure out how he's going to pay for it later. It seems easy. Yeah, I'll just say yes and I get it now. But think about what you value and then you'll know what the cost is to you. Because there's no actual cost of anything. It's whatever you're willing to pay for it. Most of you guys who are into business know this. There's no actual cost of anything. It's how much people are willing to pay for it. But for some reason, we get tattooed into our system as guys. Nature tells us that, well, no, this is the price of women. This is it. And every guy has to pay for it. Otherwise, you're an idiot. It's like, no, because women are setting the price so high that no one will be able to pay. It's kind of like, it's kind of like the market inflating the dollar, like getting the economy running like on overdrive, going upward, because women are just kind of in a Cinderella fashion driving their value up and up and up. But if you know driving their cost up and up and up, women's value, I would say, I was about to say it's always what it has been, but I think women's value is actually less than it was with our grandmothers. Women have always been the same. And men have always largely been the same, our natures. But I think with society, the way it's been sort of throwing kerosene on women's worst qualities, on their vanity, on their sense of self-importance, because women just generally think of themselves first much more than guys do. Women value themselves like as a default. It's always, what about me? What about me when it comes to women? Whereas with guys, it's what about her? What about society? What about kids? What about the thing I'm working on? Men value the external. Women value naturally reflex to their internal. So it's very important, I'd say, to distinguish the difference between cost, what the cost of something is, and the cost of anything is determined by the thing outside of you, whether it's a woman, society, they're throwing you a bill, the cost of living in your country, whatever it is. That's the cost. And then you decide, given who you are and your values, are you willing to pay that cost? And if you just keep saying yes, you're just going to be shafted all your life. And you're just going to be talking about how unfair the world is, how unfair women are, how unfair jobs are, where you feel you don't have any choice to say, no, I don't want to pay that cost. And they can say, well, I require a man to earn $1 million. It's like, I don't care what you want, what cost you want me to pay and other guys. I'm not paying it because it's ridiculous. And I gave some ridiculous examples in this previous video where if a guy said, well, I want 36 kids, or she's got to be a 5-star Michelin chef, or name any other ridiculous thing where I'm not actually judging and expecting something reasonable from a woman. They don't want anything reasonable from men anymore. I think partly it's due to, because women have burnt the bridge of yesterday, they don't want to be like their grandmothers and ancestors, where women largely liked men and they cooperated with men more or less within a range. Women have completely cast off men. Men are the enemy. They don't like men. They tolerate men today at best, unless they give, if he earns $1 million, she'll tolerate him, right? But our ancestors used to like guys and love guys, and men also used to like and love women. You can point to the outliers and say, these men abuse people, or this country destroyed this country. You can talk about the outliers, but in the middle, where we all exist in society, most of us used to get along. Men used to respect women. Women used to respect men. So I think what's happened now is women are overcompensating with how much they require financially and materially from men, because they are on their own, and they insist on being on their own because they want to be that 5-year-old girl who can earn her own money and buy her own crap when she shops. But at the same time, she's overcompensating with her shopping instinct for how much she's demanding as herself, being a product to be paid for. So now that she doesn't have like a normal idea of a natural give and take between a guy and a woman, he earns a living, they can get by, they can survive, not just survive, but they can live comfortably, they can make money, they can raise a family if they want, they can just live a peaceful life, and they don't need excess. But I think now, because women know they're on their own and they're very nervous living out in the world, guys have always been used to not being so insecure about living in the world and the big unknown out there. This is the first time in history that women en masse have tried to become men and live out there. And as such, they're overcompensating. The worst sides of women's nature is coming out. And so their cost has gone up and no one's buying the product anymore. And what do? Because they've burnt the bridge of men, all they do is they just keep turning the volume up and screaming and complaining and raising their volume up. They're all acting like a bunch of pages in an era of mobile phones. Like, buy me. Like, buy this pager that's worth $2 million. It's like, what? Like, it's useless. So I think if guys can get their head around the difference between cost and value, especially this example I gave between the cost of a condom and the actual value of a condom. And there's not too many things in life that really give you a lot of bang for your buck, like a condom compared to the cost of it compared to its value. I would just encourage guys to think in the same way about what you value in life, protecting the tranquility of your life, your routines, what you enjoy, time with your friends, family, your hobbies, your routine, and to make sure why I say it's important that you find someone compatible if you do want to date and go out there is because they should fit in your life. You shouldn't have to compromise and amputate so much of your life just to have, 15 minutes of sticky friction every week with pumpkin. So just really focus on what you value, guys. Then you will determine what you're prepared to pay as a cost. I hope that made sense. I think it did. Anyway, let me read some of the comments. Under this stream, there were a couple of comments. David P., a member, which I encourage any of you guys that feel like it, become a member and subscribe, comment under the video. He says, I asked the question, why does she cost so much? And David says, because she sets her value based on her self-perception, and since she can change that value at whim because she likes Chad or doesn't like Bob, if Chad's got more resources, she raises her value. Bob won't get a chance unless it's out of desperation or pity from her. Yep. Double X Nil 8 double X says, because she overestimates her value. Yeah. Again, why it's important to know what you value. I think women just turn the volume up to max and they think if I overcompensate, I'll be good. Because if I get anything underneath, at least it's kind of like when guys go to a club and they think it's a numbers game. I'll just ask 100 women and one of them is bound to say yes. So you don't have any standards or values and it's just quantity, and you're hoping that if your target is quantity, you're bound to get something. So you don't really care about quality. So I think it's common here what guys are saying, and I agree, that women are overestimating their value. And they don't know really what their value is. But if they overestimate it, they think they're bound to get something in the ballpark, if not bonus. Like, I'll overestimate, and so if I get this ridiculous price that I'm after, well, lucky me. And as we know, women's notion of romance is a lot of luck. A lot of, low probability luck. But that's romance for women. Whereas guys need to be more realistic, or nothing happens in terms of love or romance or family for guys who want kids and stuff like that. Frequency says, the only woman who loves a poor man is his mother. It's about the only time a woman loves anything outside of herself in general, is she loves her child, but mostly because it's come from her. You name me any other thing that she loves as much as herself. People pleasers, I'd say there's much more. I'm guessing here, but I would say generally there's much more male people pleasers out there, psychologically speaking, if you were to talk to psychiatrists and therapists, are true people pleasers, where they put everyone else first. They never consider themselves. I know we love to sympathize with women who are people pleasers, and there are them out there. But I'll say by default, because men are told to shut up, work out our own problems, internalize it all, not express it, have no sympathy if we do, if we cry, if we show failure, if we're confused, if we ask questions, we're kind of not really considered that much. Ellie Nope says, there is no top end of expense with women. It's quite impossible to fill all of her desires. Yeah. Any questions in the stream, guys? Remember, if you want to ask me something during the stream, add a whole bunch like there. Humble Boy. I'll answer his question. But add like 3 brightly colored circles next to your question in the stream if it's directed at me. Otherwise, feel free to talk amongst each other. Humble Boy says, never show your weakness to a woman, they say. That goes into say she doesn't care about supporting you. She's just there in your good times to share half of your gains without the losses. Yeah, I'm always telling guys to pay attention first with how you speak, think, and talk to yourself. And if you get really good at being your own best friend in that way, in your own head, with how you think, talk, and express yourself, your confidence, self-esteem, a confidence in the judgment of what you believe in and what you stand for, it goes up rather than always questioning, because women will always make you question because they're vague, aloof, they're never direct. And so you're always like you're trying to read signs all the time. And people think it's quite normal to do that. And it's not, because the people that expect you to read signs, they can always change their minds. Even if they meant something yesterday with the way they were acting without being direct, they can change their mind tomorrow because they never said something. So they can still blame your interpretation. So be direct with yourself, know what your values are, speak and think them, learn to speak well. And then this is what happened to me, when you start going out on dates and you become sort of better at it and more confident and more interested in how you think and speak. And it really kind of inspires you and makes your life clearer and makes your own decisions clearer. You like yourself better. Your world feels more stable. When you go on a date and you notice a girl talking in a way that you're not like uncomfortable with, because you're used to thinking and speaking and communicating, you can actually tell when someone's avoiding, because you're used to being direct with yourself and how you insist now on speaking with other people because you don't want to lie anymore. And so what happens is that I know with myself, I started to get used to spotting why I felt uncomfortable with some girl on a date. It's because I knew I don't speak that way. I'm not as indirect. I'm not as aloof. I'm not as avoidant. I answer every question that's posed to me. A date or getting intimate with someone is to be as open as possible, not sharing your PIN number and things like that, but what you believe, who you are. Otherwise, you're trying to trust a mask, and that's what everyone's doing. You need to drop your own mask for yourself first. Again, think, speak, act, your values, all that stuff. And then if you know what your values are, you'll know how much you're prepared to pay for it. And I'm not saying you should use people so your value is like this. You will only pay people $1 but expect 500,000 from them. But I'm saying women's cost is the flip of this. Women will ask you to pay $500,000, $1 million, but their value is $1. Women's value is the opposite of a condom, is what I'm saying, most women today. And it may seem harsh, but when you look at this video that I did, I think it's quite accurate. Let me know your thoughts underneath this video and underneath this video, the actual video I made, or maybe underneath this stream. And certainly let me know in the stream here what you guys think of this. Ted1775 says, a cynic is a man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. Oscar Wilde. Yeah, I forgot to add Oscar's quote. I remembered it afterwards. Someone mentioned it. Slip100, what's up, human? Hey, how are you? Schlitz, how are you? Good to see some of the regulars in. I didn't know who was actually going to pop in at this time during the weekday. Certainly not many Australians who are probably working right now. It's Friday, half an hour before lunchtime. The Faded Hero just became a member. Welcome. Yeah, guys, become a member, whatever tier you want, and support the channel any way you can. YouTube loves interaction, so thumbs up, even give the video a thumbs down if you don't like it. And if you want to ask a question, add 3 brightly colored circles to your question, just so I can see that it's a question directed to me. I asked a question last night in my community tab. So, and also, guys, if you want to keep up to date with kind of questions I'm posing, polls, things like that, things I'm discussing that are swirling around my streams and videos before they become streams and videos, I usually post it in my community tab on my YouTube channel. So check out my community tab every now and then to sort of see questions I'm asking you guys that make it into these streams. I asked people for their top questions, what they wanted to ask me. And I've just gone through some of them that I think I can answer or that are interesting enough. There's obvious ones that I can't answer or that are a bit sort of joking that I won't even bother. Like Dave said, can a Karen ever be tamed into becoming a loving and supporting wife? Usually I don't deal with absolutes, but in this case I said no. Emmett said, what state or country strikes the balance between a peaceful, dynamic lifestyle with friendly and kind people being the norm? I'm asking as a 27-year-old looking to move soon. Hopefully crowdsourcing the idea can generate a good answer. I would say avoid Western countries. So just research countries that are non-Western. And I think you can fairly easily research on Google, like safest, most affordable countries. I don't really know. I've lived in Australia all my life. I've traveled here and there. Holland's pretty good, But I haven't traveled enough to sort of be able to answer that, give you advice to, direct your life. But I don't think it's too hard to Google the answer to that. Shattered Star Game says, haven't been around in a while, human. I just got rid of a woman who insisted I spend $500 on her hair getting done. Needless to say, I refused. I don't know why they cost so much. Yeah, I don't know either. Look, like most people who are really selfish, and today's society is the example of women's worst natures left unchecked and actually encouraged. Society says that women can do no wrong. They're always worth it. It's never their fault. There's never any reason to, backhand a chick. It's not just that they're never at fault. It's that they're encouraged to act their worst and they will never be shamed for it. Not even shamed for bad behavior. You can't even judge a woman who's got an OnlyFans page and say, oh, for me, that's shameful or disgusting, or I wouldn't marry you. All of a sudden, it's like, no, you can't say that. We're going to shut you down. It's like, why can't I have standards? Can we bring good standards back? We keep wanting good lives, but we have awful standards. And it's this example of woman's magical thinking today, where they want to act the worst, but magically, like their romance movies, the best case scenario emerges from acting the worst. I think they want to stand out amongst all their girlfriends who are acting terrible, and then as a stroke of luck, one of them wins the lottery, just purely out of luck. Not because they're acting well, but purely out of luck. And all the girls will be jealous. It's like, oh, look at that bitch Nancy. She won the lottery. How come we don't win the lottery? And then Nancy feels good. Yeah, I won the lottery. That's their idea of living well. Don't try, even act badly. And you see in the schoolyard, a lot of girls, females actually get off on treating other women badly so they can feel good. You notice it in their comedy movies, in their dramas. The amount of girls that get off on the suffering of others, that's not something to be ignored. So yeah, I'm saying you just got rid of a woman, so she's your ex. She wanted you to spend $500 on her hair. That's ridiculous. That's like a quarter of the price of a return trip to Europe for me. It's stupid. Just for her hair. And that's the funny thing I've heard women say, we go to so much effort for you, our hair, our this, our that. And it's guys are like, yeah, we don't care about all that. Just take a shower and put a comb through your hair, will you? And turn up and be nice. But they want to insist on their standards. Like, oh, look at all we are. Because you want to stand out amongst all the other girls just by your looks. But you offer, and like, I would say that upwards of 90+% of guys, if they had to choose between looks and common decency and fairness and, non-psychopathy, they would choose the former. They would rather, if they had to choose more of one than the other, like as long as she's not completely ugly, guys, we value looks. But I think because women value looks so much and they're so superficial and so materialistic, they think that men must value looks as much as they do. So women project a lot of this onto guys. And because we do value looks initially, it's like, wow, it's like, alcohol to an alcoholic. If you sat an alcoholic down and say, even though you're addicted to alcohol, let me ask you, like, what is a good life? What's the right thing to do? How do you want to live? What's a balanced life? What's the difference between right and wrong? How should you treat people? That's a broad conversation about life that I could even have with an alcoholic. But when I talk about alcohol, sure, I'm going to get that very concentrated, addictive kind of discussion. And women, that's all they care about, the alcohol. They're the alcohol, and how can they get the alcoholic to drink them? And it's just like an empty bottle. Once you've drank the alcohol, they're empty. Know what you value, guys. And then, as I said, then you will know how much you're going to pay for it. Women keep pushing the cost and men keep saying yes, but you won't keep paying more than what you want as an alcoholic. Try and learn your value. Then you'll start paying with a sober head, not a drunken head. Mr. Invisible says, it's a numbers game for women also, except we go to them and they just test each other, test one to see if they can hit the jackpot. If he leaves or runs out of money, repeat. Yeah, it's a numbers game for women as well, because they know they can just kind of rotate. They can pretty much go on the street or in the supermarket, go up to any guy, and I'd say 50 to 75% of the time, she can get any guy she wants, as long as she's not the extreme, whether it's extreme of personality or extreme of body type. If she's somewhere in the middle, guys, women have a very easy time of getting guys, which is, again, the stupidity of women wanting to be celebrated and patted on the back for sleeping around. It's so easy. Guys high-five each other because it's really hard for us. Obviously, things make it easier, like your looks and money, but I think that's why a lot of guys go for money, especially status, power, looks, all the things that women superficially find attractive. It's got nothing to do with their personality. They think that this is men overcompensating. And then later on, when they get the superficial bimbo that they've been working for and earning for, they don't have a good life. Any questions during the stream, guys? Otherwise, I'll read some comments underneath the video, underneath the recent video. Mastikina says, regarding this latest video underneath here, he said, I'm just thinking what kind of guy makes $1 million? What kind of job and life they have? What kind of rings they move through? The people they meet? And then I look at these women in this video. Mr. 1 million doesn't even know they exist. This is true. And even if they got, the stupid thing is a lot of these women that think that if they can get Chad for a night, like if they can get the quarterback, they can if they can get banged in the toilet by Mr. 1%er, they think, well, I got him. They don't care about the context. You need to, guys, I know we're alcoholics and women are alcohol, for naturally and biologically speaking, for most guys. But if you want to avoid living the life of an alcoholic, you really need to sober up. You can appreciate alcohol, but get sober. Go to AA. I think a lot of the healthier manosphere channels, or what MGTOW used to be back in the day, was helping alcoholics get sober. And so if you want to appreciate a sip or two here and there soberly without getting drunk and being in full control, you can. Or you may say, you know what, I don't need it anymore. Alcohol was numbing myself. It wasn't actually enjoyable. So anyway, good comment, Mastikna. Side source said, should a guy make $1 million? He said, he was talking about in the video, the clip I put out, where the girl was actually very revealing, where she was asked, what if a guy didn't work or earned less than you? Would you support him? And she was like, no, I don't want him to rely on me. And like, that's the stuff. That's why I did the response video. What it reveals about women, not kind of easily talking about how stupid they've been, because they are, but what it shows is the lack of caring at all. That statement says you don't love anyone, you just love yourself. And then you're going to sit there saying, we're all the good men, no one loves me, all these bad guys. Your standard is not for a good guy. When you say, I don't want him to rely on me, you know what I hear? I don't want to give anything. I don't want to give any support. I don't want to give love. I don't want to give understanding. I don't want to play that tennis match. There's no we here. It's just a one-way street to me. I only exist. And you're an actor in my movie. I'm the director. I'm in charge. you're a puppet and I pull the strings. That's all I hear when I hear a woman saying, I don't want him to rely on me. You notice she didn't say, I don't want to pay for him. That'd still be bad. Like if a guy needs your support, just in the same way a girl that you love needs your support, your natural inclination as a sensible, sane, rational, fair, civil human being should be yes. Your inclination is yes. That's your reflex to someone you love and care about. You drop everything and yes, because it's a reasonable request from someone you care about. Her natural reaction is no, me, no, you don't exist. I guarantee this idiot who said she doesn't want a guy to rely on her, she's the kind of guy, if the guy loses his job, if the guy becomes disabled or whatever it is, she'll be out of there quicker than pick your favorite saying. And she'll say, well, I need to follow my truth or some bullshit like that. Anyway, Red Ranger to this video says, isn't it just the young naive ones? It isn't just the young naive ones. It's also the post-war 35s to 40s are also demanding the $100,000 plus price range. Yeah, I noticed this as well when I was dating through my late 30s, 40s. I swear, in my 40s, I had stunted adolescents. I had women in their 40s who were acting like a 21-year-old or a late teen. Like they were like frozen in time. I think so many people, guys included, but guys are more forced to chew on reality. Otherwise, they'll become homeless. If you don't adapt to the reality of where you are, you won't have friends. You can't rely on anyone. Men need to dance with the reality of life, work, their choices. Otherwise, they end up homeless. A woman can always just say nothing, bat her eyelids and say, well, I just went out with bad boys, or I don't know what went wrong. I'm just a nice person. I'm too giving. She can just keep lying and selling herself as a nice person and never have to explain, because it's somehow impolite to inquire and interrogate a woman playfully about her past. No, we don't want to talk about my past. I feel like I'm being interrogated. Well, like, I want to know about who you are. I don't want just the resume for you to get the job, and then later on when you've got it, I can't get rid of you. I want you to be honest about who you are. Yeah, you may not get this job, but I'm being honest, and so should you, so we could both get a mutual job that we both want to stay at, figuratively speaking. Yeah, I experienced a lot of women in their 40s a while ago who were acting like children. I was thinking, like, some of them who are single mothers would be like, yeah, I bet you your child is probably more mature than you. I bet you your kid is embarrassed of you. They don't want you around. You don't act like an adult. LatQCD92 says, I wouldn't say that these women are objectifying themselves by setting a high price tag. A lot of these women delude themselves into believing they offer other things, and then somehow it's worth $1 million. If anything, they're objectifying men by treating them like ATMs. Zero interest in the person actually making the money. They only care that the money is being dispensed. Yep. Quite literally, these women look at guys like a walking ATM. Like, I want that one that spits out $1 million. I want that one. Oh, does that one spit out 500,000? Yeah, I want that kind of guy. That's my kind of guy. And then later on, you learn to love everything else. Or really, you don't learn to love it. You complain about it all the time. So the thing they lead with is what walking ATM, what currency is spit out. Oh, sorry, what value, like what money is spit out. Oh, that one spits out $100,000 a year. That one spits out $2 million a year. But for me, it's amazing the blasé nature of, like, not even knowing the reality of, like, I want this. This is the top thing I want from a guy, $1 million a year. And then they're like, is that a lot? I don't know if that's real. Is that life? What's going? It's like, how can the first place of what you always go for, like what's at the front of your selection process, you don't even trust that it's real. You don't care. And it reminds me of people who don't raise their kids properly. They're lazy, they're not good parents, and then they say, oh, we need help from the government, or as a single mum. It's like, sorry, I don't care about your kids. Like, if you don't care about them, neither do I. if you don't care about what value you're putting at the front, like if you want a guy to make a certain amount of money, I respect women. Like, say, for instance, if there's a corporate woman, she knows the value of money. She's an accountant, executive. She's got a high standard way of life. And she wants a guy that's kind of on her level. I get it. She knows how money works. She does it. She walks her talk. These women don't walk their talk. They're always asking for things that they have no idea about, and they overinflate the cost. And then they're saying, well, life isn't fair because I wanted $1 million and I didn't get it. Boo-hoo. It's not my fault. It is your fault. I mean, it's your parents' fault because firstly, they didn't teach you life. You probably had a mother that was like you, who just thought that love was like guys giving her bouquets of flowers for nothing. Like, for me, it's always interesting where people don't think of the other person, or you demand something with no idea for what you should fairly get for what you're demanding. People just say, I want this. What's next? I want to fly. Oh, I don't fly. It's not my fault that I can't fly. I don't have to look at reality. So I'm going to blame what? The world, men, society, that I can't fly because I believe I can fly. This self-belief without any grounding in reality is just the cause of men's grief because they believe what a woman says. Johnny Derp says, the idea that we're the product of our programming and free will is an illusion holds interest for some people. I won't speculate as to why this is the case, as I cannot read another person's mind. And I've seen enough straw men at Halloween. My issue with it is a lazy approach to existing. This was, he was talking about an older video, how I let go of negative thinking. He says, my issue with this lazy approach to existing is that life as an automation is empty. To truly believe free will doesn't exist is to say there is no use getting out of bed in the morning. There is no benefit to actualizing changes we see as important, and there is no need to punish wrongdoing or expect better from the individual. My favorite quip on the subject comes from Christopher Hitchens. When asked the free will question, he responded, of course I have free will. I have no choice in the matter. Yeah, brilliant guy. The late, great Christopher Hitchens. Remember, guys, if you want to ask me a question during this stream, if you're here live, put 3 brightly colored circles before your question. If we all kind of know our values, I think we're going to have less train wreck stories about how much we overpaid for chicky poo. The more you know yourself, what your budget is, what you think is important, because if you think something's important and you're willing to pay for it, you'll work to have the money to pay for it, or the lifestyle or the personality. If you're an introvert, nature won't let you stay with an extrovert because you can't pay for what the extrovert needs in a relationship, and the extrovert can't pay for what the introvert needs in a relationship. So you really need to know who you are, what you value, and how to express it, and the confidence to kind of try and grab it or let go of what might seem attractive, but you need to let go of it because it's going to be bad news for your life. Yeah, Feral Android says these women, some of them remind him of Dr. Evil in Austin Powers. $1 million. Rocket Scientist says, if they want you to spend money on their looks, they are trying to upgrade to the next guy. Interesting, yeah. Stay and drown. He says, women have realized love is expensive for men and they're increasing the cost. Many men are trying to get it to a point where they can afford it Do you think this relates to the rise in hustle culture? Yeah, everything's just kind of accelerated over the last few years, especially our short attention spans online, chasing, hustling, like up, 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 more likes, more likes, more likes, richer, richer, richer. Look at the young generation. They look at 18-year-old millionaires on YouTube with mansions, and that's their, and they're a failure if they can't do that, because ostensibly all it is this person just films themselves on their phone, uploads it to YouTube, and they're in the top percent, and they can have anything they want in the world. And they think they're failures because, yeah, why would you want to have a job if you could do that? And so, and feeds, think about how when we're on phones, we're just kind of like, we're just, just accelerating all the time. And the nature of acceleration is you don't have time to think. You don't have time to sit still. You don't have time to contemplate. You're moving too fast to know what to choose to think. You need to choose to slow down and let the crazy train go past as fast as it wants to go, because it's just, as TFM said, it's got no brakes, and it just keeps increasing. Sean says, I've been sober for 10 years and 7 months today, for real. Congratulations, man. Good stuff. Look, despite what some might think, I joke around, but whenever if I'm driving down the street and I see some really obese person going for a jog, I kind of smile and think, good for you, man. Like, I honestly do. I don't sort of put him down. Like, I actually think it's admirable. I can kind of joke in context to a situation. I can use a metaphor for, being unhealthy and sort of describing, because I'm trying to describe where we should lean more. There's no use sitting on the fence on a topic where we really need to lean one way or the other. So I'll be tough love, and some of my tough love is sarcastically being cruel or hazing the person. But when I see someone really doing the right thing, like an overweight person getting into shape at the gym, jogging in the street, I really admire them for it. But what I don't admire is things like sort of the fat acceptance stuff, and people trying to say that something's healthy when it's not, something's good when it's bad. Left is now right, and everything's now left. Everything's relative. There's no right, there's no up, there's no down. Yeah, we live in the gray, but we should calibrate ourselves so we know the difference between the two, so we have direction. Where nothing means nothing, then life is harder. And especially when people are lying and asking for $1 million in a guy. But at the same time, as I mentioned in the video, if a guy was interviewing these women, and especially if it was a relatively good-looking guy, these women would have all given different answers. And this is the danger. Because guys on dates, they're effectively a man with a microphone in these videos saying, so how much should a guy make? What do you think is important? And all these women in these videos would have given completely different answers if the guy was an appealing and attractive guy to them. She would have said, oh, money doesn't matter. All of them would have said, oh, not too much, just that he's got a job. They would have painted themselves as the most humble Stepford wife, kind of balanced, fair person in existence. And the guy would be like, wow, how is this unicorn not taken? And then after the honeymoon period, then they turn into those girls in the video. Then they talk to you like one of their girlfriends. So it's very important to really practice your values and speaking to yourself and communicating and knowing where you stand, not just regurgitating memes. Because then when you come across these lying car salesmen that are just trying to survive, a lot of them don't mean it, but this is the way they do. They're very cruel, and they'll lie and smile to your face to get what they want. And later on, they'll tear you apart because they don't compliment you. Thanks, David, for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. David's a long-time member. Sip100 says, my uncle in Thailand has a Thai wife, and I kid you not, she calls him ATM as a nickname. Yeah, I've never been into the whole marrying a Thai wife. Just they're not my type. I think I love of communication to a great degree. And there's certain accents that it's not their fault. I just kind of like, it doesn't gel with me. And yeah, there's not much appealing to a Thai wife for me. You know, there's some of them are fairly beautiful, just visually speaking. But like when I look at what's important to me, time spent, vocabulary, thought, there's just too much of a language barrier from when I see these old guys with a young Thai wife and they can't even talk to them. It's like, I know why you're with them, but man, I couldn't do it for more than 5 minutes. Past the bedroom, I couldn't. Yeah, Thaddeus makes a good point here. Says these women who just want so much money from a guy. He says these monkey branches can't hang in a world with constant social media showing them options, so they swing and reach for a new branch. They're just, in the same way they flick for their feeds, they're just kind of ready to swing for the next branch and ask for $1 million, $2 million. In 5 years, these women will be after billionaires. It'll be 500 million. Is that too much? You laugh, but consider like 10 years ago, right? This wouldn't be common in a university. Universities have become dumbed down places. It used to be places for thought. Some of the smartest intellectuals were at universities back in my day and my parents' day. The governments, when they wanted to go to think tanks and consult studies and smart people, they would go to universities. Governments, news, when we're looking for direction in life and studies, we don't really go to universities anymore because they're full of like purple-haired people who, you know, come up with like 58 genders and things like that. They're not places of rational intellect anymore. That ship has sailed a long time ago. Centium says the inflationary basis of the monetary system may be one of the root causes of the inflation of expectations. Yes, I agree. Do you think a deflationary standard, i.e. Bitcoin, would reduce this propensity? No, I think a return to more human currency, especially the way we relate, like, you know, Stoicism, the philosophy of old. Now it's just this very clinical, mechanical, STEM-based numbers game of looks, money, status. It's just very cold. Like all of the stuff we would want from a relationship. We're using the tools. We're using the different tools to get them. You can't use the opposing tools of that which you want to kind of achieve, if that makes sense. I can't approach art with a mathematical sort of structure, if you like. You can formalize it. You can formalize boundaries by which you can feel safe to create art. Just in the way when I think about sort of learning how to speak and think, and we can learn a lot from the manosphere in terms of like the data, how women act, the statistics and things like that. Form a structure and boundaries, but you need to play in that space artistically. I said a little while ago, for me, I came to realize that I needed to accept, not just because of my artistic inclinations, that life for me is an aesthetic experience. Relationships and love is largely an aesthetic and philosophical experience, and not philosophical, but sort of a relational experience where it doesn't have a lot to do with the structure, the boundaries by which you set to be able to create that space. You know, where you play inside, you need to sort of be a human being. Because the world's become much more dangerous and men and women don't cooperate, we are trying to just make our lives about the structure, and it doesn't generate the feelings we want within that structure. We can't hold too tightly on the structure of safety and math, and we care so little about the person, the values, the conversation, who the person is, time spent, trusting our instincts, like why we feel good around this person. Why? Okay. And even the philosophy of why isn't necessarily like mathematical, But the philosophy of why is psychological. So, yeah, I think the answer is not going more into the math, more into the rigid black and white. It's going more like we've done the structure to death now. We're suffocating under the structure of perfection and safety, and no one can feel inside of that. It's a vacuum with no oxygen. We need to, create your boundaries, realistic ones, like a lot of you guys, and David's mentioned this, and a lot of the guys that frequent my channel. Create a rational structure by which you can approach a stranger on a date to protect yourself, and then be as open as possible so you're not destroyed by her, and you do that with anyone you don't trust. How do you form trust? Trust is a subjective feeling. You need to trust to be able to trust someone, right? So you can't mathematically trust beforehand, create a formula by which you can trust people, and then anytime you meet someone, you just press the button on that formula and you trust them. It doesn't work that way. You need to sensibly know the structure of what and how you trust, and then you go to a date with that structure, knowing that it's going to protect you because you know your boundaries, and then you let yourself go and you be a human being, and you allow yourself to, I hate to use that word, be vulnerable, but what's the synonym to that? Sort of just be open with the person, be yourself, be the you are with your friends and family, and you know that the worst that can happen is a no, and because you've got the structure protecting you. So you've got to be free enough to be a human being with people. So I don't think us holding even more tightly to working out men and women in society and changing laws and stuff, we're just strangling all the life out of what we want out of relationships, because we don't want the math out of relationships. We want to be able to have feelings via the avenue of trust, and you can't get to trust without letting go and trusting someone. And you can't do that without knowing what your boundaries are and who you are. You can't value what other people value. If they say pay $2 million to be in a relationship with me, that says a lot about the person. You should at least start asking questions like, okay, what do you bring to the table? Why do you, okay, miss $1 million? What are you going to give for that $1 million? And if she looks at you with a puzzled face and say, well, look at me, I can get naked and you can, I can be a doll. It's like, yeah, so can every other woman. Who's not, like, it's just stupid. Know who you are, gentlemen. Know know what your values are, and then you're not going to pay $1 million for something that costs $1. You're going to get ripped off. You're going to throw your life savings away at something that costs $1. August Line says, Human, what do you think about women seeing minimalism in a guy as a red flag? It's been my experience that they don't really understand not lusting over possessions. Yeah, they don't. I haven't found too many minimalistic women. I think the women online who have minimalistic channels, I think they do it more for psychological reasons, where they have they can't handle the excess of the world that they're in now as being independent women. And so they simplify it, simplicity as a form of minimalism for women, so they can make sense of things. There's not too many spinning plates in their world that they can keep an eye on. Women can't handle a lot out in the world. They can handle a lot psychologically around other women because they're wired that way. But I think minimalism for a woman is more sort of to psychologically put her at ease. But minimalism materialistically, I don't think many women like it, because they want to feel safe, and most women by default feel safe with a lot of stuff, with a lot of materialism. Thank God for the mute button. Hey, that guy, Pete, you refused to invite to gatherings. How you going? I had a discussion with Pete and a couple of other guys on my chat channel. A nice 3-hour conversation on just all this dating stuff and friendships and relationships today. Check it out on my dating channel, on my chat channel, and go to Pete's channel as well. Some really he's got a really nice, more analytical perspective, data-driven perspective, and a very extensive and deep perspective on the topics he discusses. No, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. He says, you need the basics first before you can do variations and art. Looks, money, and status are the basics. Yeah. A lot of people, the very basics, they think that's the totality of life. But if you want meaning, if you want something rich and good, if you have no idea, if you're relying on crossing your fingers and luck, and you just think it's a numbers game of like, well, hopefully one of these women work out. If you don't think you have the will of asking questions and trusting your instincts and saying, yeah, this person's a warning flag, I'm not gonna pick them. If you don't trust yourself to be able to say yes or no, then all you're gonna get is the imposed yes of women who just want to be with you, or the imposed no, which fair enough. But then if women are the only ones that are choosing you and you don't feel like you have any choice in the matter, it's on you. Did you really say no when you felt like saying no, or do you just go along and say yes to everything when it's got to do with the relationships because you believe deterministically that women run the show, and if I say anything, if I have an opinion, then human, it's over, she'll leave me? What does it say about you? Are you just supplicating and grateful to relationships, or are you actively making choices in them? Think about how good you feel in life when you're making choices in your own life, when you're single, when you're free and open in discussion with friends and stuff, where you kind of feel like, yeah, this feels good. Why does it feel good? Because you're not editing yourself as much. You feel a lot freer in what you say. Compare that to guys that just choose any woman and they're grateful not to be alone. They don't feel free. They feel suffocated because they just need to act all the time. I mean, if you have to go home and you barely have any oxygen in your world and you're suffocating, but when you're at work in the office with a suit and tie, you can breathe a little more, that's not a good sign, because you formalize yourself a lot at work. Depending on your job, you can be lucky enough to formalize yourself less. But if you go to work and you're completely on acting mode and you don't have any room to breathe, and the only room you have to breathe is in your shed in the backyard, that's not a good sign, guys. Remember, guys, if you want to ask a question during the stream, add a couple of bright colored circles before your question. That guy, Pete, says, trust always begins with building goodwill piece by piece. Something's got to give. Have boundaries, but try to actually enjoy the date. People can't hurt you if you have no expectations. Yes, go on a date with the expectations. I'm just going to meet a good person, hopefully a friend, because I've vetted something and I've at least trust that I'm, with the communication I've had before deciding to go on a date. You haven't just blindly gone on a date. I don't believe in blind dates. You haven't blindly gone on a date. There's been some sort of vetting by you and a bit of a yes by you based on what you've heard, read, or seen that would make you want to go on a date. You don't just go on a date because you're single, lonely, and it's a female that will finally agree to go on a date with you. Or you shouldn't. Again, do what you want, but... Sentium says, I agree, virtue is more important than mathematics when it comes to human relationships. Yes. And again, I keep quoting Hemingway, the only way to trust someone is to trust them. Before you get to that point, you should know what you value and be honest about how you feel, trust your judgment, and not just go for any woman. Not just base long-term family, kids, all of that risk on pretty. Biology gives you pretty everywhere. But like if you date blindly, you're just gonna the chances are you're just gonna knock into everything and hurt yourself all the time. You can't rely on crossing your fingers and saying, "Oh, universe, I will say yes to everything, but I trust that you're going to give me exactly what I want. I know what I'd like, but I'll never choose it. You choose for me." It's stupid, because if you want to look at it, the universe is giving you the ability to cognitively know what you want, but you refuse to choose it and speak it and think it. So you're saying, I know what I feel I want. I know what I want. I can talk to the guys online and I can tell them what I want. But you know what? You give it to me, because I'm too gutless to speak up and like choose it, because the feeling of being alone or shamed. We need to do what we know is right, guys. Yeah, thank you for the super chat. No. He also said, I think many men supplicate because they know they have limited options in the market compared to women. They do. But I would also argue on the flip side, the more you make it about a numbers game where you have more quantity to pick from, if you change your approach, but you're still being honest and you finally speak your mind, that numbers game will benefit you more. But if you hide, wear a mask, say nothing, and accept anything that comes your way, those dumb bimbos who expect $1 million from guys, they are the only people who are choosing the relationship, controlling it, running the script, and creating that movie of your relationship for you. And you're a miserable actor in that world who never gets paid. You're a guy in one of those awful romantic comedies. Whether you're the guy she picks or the guy she uses, you're equally kind of cringeworthy. You're not in a movie that you want to be in. Anyway, guys, I think we've been going for quite a while. How long have we been going for? If you would like to ask a super chat or a question in the stream, please drop it now, because I'm going to wrap it up soon. We've been going for about an hour, which is a nice time for midweek. Johnny Derp says, most men date the way my 4-year-old played Minesweeper. Click on everything, ignore warnings, and then act surprised when the likely outcome occurs. Yeah, or any video game, fighting games, just keep smashing the one button of looks over and over again, and you don't know how to do anything else. And then you're crying why you never get past level 1. Yeah. Women at best today, they can be mediocre checker players, but like I find it a unicorn to find a woman who knows how to play chess at the most basic level when it comes to life. How proper moves are made, and to be able to think strategically for yourself without using other people. Fairly think strategically. It's like this cooperative chess game. You don't need to be a grandmaster. Just know the moves and have an enjoyable game. But most women can't even play basic checkers. Anyway, guys, if there's no further super chats, or I'll wait another 20 seconds or a minute to see if there's any further super chats, because I hate it when I finish my stream and just after I finish my stream, I get a super chat that I didn't answer live. So please feel free to keep commenting under this video. It's got a lot of interesting comments underneath. I had a lot of fun making it, so I knew it would spur a lot of thought and emotion, but hopefully we can learn from this stuff. This is an obvious, ridiculous example of what our boundaries should avoid from an airplane. You should be able to see this stuff from orbit, but a lot of this stuff, this comes right up to a guy's face, and a guy says, yeah, this feels weird, but it's butterflies. It means I really like her. It's like, no. It's like biology's pushing you towards this person because she's reproductively like something it really wants. But no, this is a terrible relationship, which is, I think, another reason why guys trust hookups more than women for relationships, because most of them, if you look at a lot of these college-age girls who are in their reproductive prime, by the way, these women are at the age that our ancestors from the beginning of time, more or less, started having kids. They're at their reproductive prime, and they are the most deranged in their standards. I'm surprised some of them say, I want to give birth to like a 10-foot tall baby with 5 heads. That's what I want, with purple hair. Their standards, it's like, and look, guys, because we need to be responsible largely for the relationship and our own lives, you know, it's just too ridiculous these days to even want to do anything long-term with these girls who don't know if what they demand of guys is being unreasonable. And certainly you need to avoid the women that in the video commented on, the one that says, that she didn't want a guy, she didn't want to earn more than a guy because she just doesn't want to support him. There's a lot of these entitled women that care nothing for guys. They don't just want $1 million. They want $1 million and they don't want to give anywhere near as much as you or anything at all if they can help it. Because I think they think that these guys who are really rich, that they're so busy that they're just going to be left alone to have a single life. He's going to be this millionaire CEO. He's going to spend all his time at work. I don't even care about him really. I'm going to still have this life. And here and there I'll say, hi, honey, and I'll lie down naked in bed for him and that'll be it. And I think a lot of these women think that they can have these very short-term, small part-time relationships married to this guy. And I think that they can get by with that. That's what I don't care about. They don't see the guy as a real person. As was mentioned, they're walking ATMs that my type of guy is a $1 million ATM or a $500,000 ATM. That's what they say their guys are. Anyway, guys, good stream. Leave your comments below, like, comment, subscribe, jump on my Discord if you've got a microphone and know how to use Discord and push the talk, and join the discussion after the stream. Usually a bunch of guys drop in there, but you can drop into my Discord any time of the day. It's always open if you want to have a chat. And yeah, comment under the video. I'll see you in the next one, and I'll see you this weekend for my Sunday morning stream, which is your Saturday morning in the US. Catch you later, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.